On this episode of China Uncensored, protecting their culture, the people of China fight back. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. In the book 1984, George Orwell's totalitarian The Party systematically destroyed language and rewrote the dictionary to limit free thought and expunge pesky concepts that might threaten the party, like freedom. Now, keep that in mind for a second. I have joining me Ben Hedges, host of Learn Chinese Now. He'll be giving you a quick Chinese lesson.
你好, I'm Ben Hedges. Now, did you know there are two ways to write Chinese characters? One is a system of traditional characters, or 正体字. The same traditional characters have been used for over 2,000 years in China. Even though there are many different dialects of spoken Chinese, the writing system is the same everywhere. So a Mandarin speaker from the northeast, or 东北, can understand someone speaking Cantonese or Guangdonghua in Hong Kong through these characters. But then, in the 1950s, the Chinese Communist Party, or 共产党, created what they called simplified characters, or 简体字. The party rewrote hundreds of characters, removing the deep inner meaning that was built into them. For example, the character love, or 爱. The traditional writing system, the symbol for heart, or 心, is at the very center of the character. Makes sense, huh? But in the simplified writing system, the character for heart is removed. How can you love without a heart? Here's another one. This is the traditional character meaning to advance, or 进. The traditional character is made of the character meaning to walk and the character that in ancient Chinese meant high and steep, or lofty, so you walk forward to lofty heights. The simplified version is the character meaning to walk, but instead of walking to a good place, you walk into a well, a dark hole. Kind of like the Great Leap Forward, or 大跃进. It was a campaign by the Communist Party to transform China into an industrialized powerhouse. But instead, it caused a famine that killed 16 to 45 million people. If you'd like to learn more Chinese, check out my show, Learn Chinese Now, with new episodes every week. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Ben. That was double plus good. So, along the lines of taking the heart out of love, here's another good example of the Communist Party missing the point. The Xingjiao Temple in Shanxi is a magnificent temple ground with 9 pagodas that's been standing for 1,300 years. It's also believed to house the bones of one of China's most famous Buddhist monks, Xuanzang. He walked himself to India pretty much alone on foot, which took 17 years, learned Sanskrit, and walked all the way back to China with hundreds of Buddhist scriptures that he spent the rest of his life translating, basically helping create the Buddhism we know today. In my book, that beats Chuck Norris any day of the week. The story became the inspiration for Peking operas, TV shows, movies, and of course the much-beloved Journey to the West, one of the 4 classics of Chinese literature. In that version, Xuanzang is joined by the infamous Monkey King Sun Wukong, a superpowered magic monkey, as well as a lustful pig and an ogre, and it threw in a lot of demons and kung fu. So, this is a beloved part of Chinese history and culture. Even Mao Zedong, who pretty much tried to wipe out every shred of traditional Chinese culture, loved Sun Wukong. So, naturally, officials want to tear the temple down and make money off the land. The plan is to knock down 2/3 of the pagodas, force the monks out, and build a souvenir shop for tourists. Because when you visit a famous monastery, who wants all those pesky monks kicking around and cluttering up the scenery? Needless to say, people are furious about it and demanding they scrap the construction plans. So now, officials are saying they're not doing it as part of a money-making scheme, but they're doing it to preserve the temple. It's like preserving a forest by cutting down the trees so loggers can't cut down the trees. The 6 pagodas they want to tear down, they don't have any historical significance. They're just where the monks live and eat. They're also saying it would help the temple in a bid to get UNESCO World Heritage status. Hey, it worked for Mount Rushmore. It's almost like the communist officials are so sure they can get away with anything, they don't even try to come up with good lies to the Chinese people anymore. Even Chinese newspapers are turning against the officials. Shenzhen's The Daily Sunshine even said under the Chinese regime, China is no longer a country for courtesy and decency, but a place infamous for gutter oil cooking, contaminated medicine, and poisoned milk. But if nothing changes, the demolition will begin on June 30th. So how come the people of China care about the history and culture of China, but the Chinese government doesn't? Well, that's because the Chinese government is controlled by the Communist Party, and it doesn't represent the people. It's just a remnant of the era of European industrialization, so why would officials care about 5,000 years of Chinese culture and history? After they realized they couldn't wipe it out in the Cultural Revolution, they just bastardized it so they could make money. But so what do you think? China is full of amazing historic and cultural sites, but is tourism helping preserve these treasures, or is it destroying them? Comment below, or you can follow me on Twitter and like China Uncensored on Facebook. And as always, be sure to subscribe to China Uncensored for more. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching.